The indicted and since pardoned Trump associate Roger Stone is predicting that Donald Trump is going to be indicted, that an indictment of Donald Trump is coming. And this story didn't get much attention over the Memorial Day weekend, but Roger Stone appeared with conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. And of course, he says it's a witch hunt. Of course, he says it's nonsense. Of course, he says that these are going to be trumped up political charges and it's trash. But Roger Stone says an indictment of Donald Trump is coming. Take a look at this video.
The globalists love symbolism, don't they?
Well, I would be shocked if they did not come forward with a fabricated indictment for bank fraud or tax fraud against the former president by Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance, an elected Democrat, the son of Cyrus Vance Sr., the worst Secretary of State in American history, the man who botched the Iranian hostage crisis under Jimmy Carter. By the way, Cy Vance is not exactly a non-corrupt politician himself.
Okay, so Roger Stone starts carrying on there. But the big point is Stone saying he'd be shocked if there isn't some indictment of Donald Trump. We previously reported that the grand jury is being convened. They are looking at evidence. They will decide on charges. So this is real in that sense. But Trump is lawyered up, presumably has top lawyers already or almost ready to represent him if indeed this were to happen. And I continue to believe that Donald Trump's real level of risk is quite low of ending up in prison. Tiny, 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 as I've said before. But what about the Trump children, not Barron and Tiffany, but the ones involved in Trump's businesses? Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump. They are now being advised to lawyer up personally, because even though any charges, if they ever come, will likely be related to Trump Organization activity, the Trump Organization legal team really represents the interests of the organization. So here is Frank Figliuzzi, former assistant director for counterintelligence at the FBI, explaining this to MSNBC.
But Nicole, as we're talking about witnesses, we might as well go ahead and talk about kind of those big witnesses, which is, are we going to see this grand jury subpoena or are we going to see subpoenas to testify before this grand jury for people like Eric, Don Jr., and Ivanka? And if so, are they going to plead the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination?
Well, I mean, you raised that. I mean, I remember when the New York Times big investigation into the Trump taxes came out and all that liability that he had. And you were part of our coverage about the national security implications of that, right? That he was in so much debt. If the New York Times learned that, certainly a foreign government could have. But one of the line items were big transfers to Ivanka Trump. Would you guess that they all have lawyered up in terms of criminal defense attorneys?
I wrote a column about that. And so they better have individually lawyered up. Yeah, they have had to have lawyered up because they may have already made the mistake of casually speaking to the organization's attorneys and the organization's auditors about, what they knew and what their role was. Big mistake if they'd done that, because the organization doesn't represent them. The organization's lawyer's mission is to preserve the organization, not the individual executives and officers. It becomes every man or woman for themselves. And in this case, the men and the women happen to be family.
So this has every possibility of escalating dramatically. And one more thing from Roger Stone here to get back to him. Roger Stone predicts that the timing of these indictments will be around when the so-called audit in Arizona wraps up. This was mixed between ranting about other things, of course.
The damn loan.
Well, let's be very clear. In other words, as you said it earlier, you show the man, I'll show you the crime. They're allowed to root through this man's business record of 40 years in which he built a real estate empire second to none, combing for a crime. They have no evidence of a crime. They have no probable cause. It is disgraceful, but I do think it is going to happen. And don't be surprised if the announcement comes at the exact time that we learn the truth about Maricopa County, Arizona. Don't be surprised, because I see that coming.
So that ominous timing predicted by Roger Stone, is this just nonsense? Or does Roger Stone actually know something, or is he just guessing? After all, Roger Stone told me during our interview that he would never be indicted by the FBI, and he was indicted by the FBI. So maybe Roger Stone just isn't the guy to listen to about this stuff, or maybe Roger Stone does know something. But it's going to be a very interesting upcoming 6 months, and probably the right advice for the adult Trump kids to lawyer up. My guess is they probably have already. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. It takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft. And it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.